back to The Writer's Dream. My name is Dina Santarelli, and today we have with us Joe Satriano, who writes under the pen name J.S. Russo, who has written a very personal nonfiction book that he's going to tell us about today, a memoir. Welcome, Joe.
How are you?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to LTV for allowing me to talk about my passion in my life.
So tell us about the book.
Well, the book is an inspirational, humorous book about my life with my wife, Susan. We were married for 29 years. 16 years into our marriage, unfortunately, she contracted cancer and then passed away 13 years after. But the book is actually an inspiring book because Sue and I learned very early in the 13-year battle that you get one shot on this earth.
I know.
So what we did was we lived it up. And people have told me who have come to some of my book talks that it actually inspires them to move forward with whatever tragedy they may have because they emulate the way Sue and I did it.
Wow.
And you know, we really had a wonderful life together. Pre-cancer, during cancer, we did a lot of fun stuff. Unfortunately, we know the ending of the book.
What made you decide to want to put this into a book and create a book about this experience and about your life together?
Well, truly, I am not an author. I am a math teacher by trade, and so was Sue. We were both high school math teachers. Don't hold that against me, please. At Sue's wake, actually 4 people gave me a journal, and they said, "Start writing, Joe. It's good for you." And truly, I was not ready to do that at all. As it turns out, about a year after Sue died, I went into Command Central, which is my computer room, and I just wrote the words, "The Beginning," and it just started flowing like crazy. It allowed me to relive my life with Susan, the happy times, the sad times, and the book, the journal, I should say, was not intended to be a book until I actually took it to a medical professional, and this lady dealt with Sue way back when she was diagnosed, and she was kind of a very staid, very much in the box, no emotion, dealing with cancer patients. I guess you kind of get that way.
Yeah.
And she, after doing 8 hours of breast surgeries, she called me into her office because I had given her a, quote, manuscript, which was not really a manuscript at the time. And you could see that she read it because she had underlined all kinds of lines that she wanted to go over with me. And she got to one particular part in this book, and she started crying. And I said to myself right then and there, I said, boy, if I can affect her,
Right.
I think maybe I have something here that can really help people. It was not the original intention, though.
So at that point, what did you decide to do? You decided, okay, I'd like to publish this book in some capacity so that other people can experience, you know, what I went through and my life with my wife. So what was the first thing you decided to do?
Well, after I thought I was done, I started sending it out to self-publishing companies.
Okay.
I kind of was told through the grapevine that, you know, big companies wouldn't take on a neophyte author such as myself. By the way, I still have trouble putting the word me and author in the same sentence, I got to tell you.
You are, though. You're an author.
Apparently I am. So I sent it out and to about 5 different self-publishing places, and they all showed interest in it. Why I ended up picking Legwork Team Publishing, I can't tell you, but I'm so happy that I did. Mainly because not only are the people up front wonderful people, but the people that they work with are incredible. The editors, the layout designer, I had 2 editors actually, and I was very surprised, I got to tell you, that being a math teacher, you know, I was fully expecting to get this manuscript back with all kinds of red marks on it. But they didn't rip it apart. They really didn't. They gave me a couple suggestions. I'd say 90% of my mistakes, if you want to call them mistakes, were that I went in from one sentence, I went from past tense to present tense in the same sentence. So grammatically they were
those are easy to fix. Yeah.
Yeah, but they really didn't do too much to change things, which was surprising to me. being that this was my first experience. They gave me some suggestions, and the nice thing about being the author, I guess, is that you have final say.
Right.
So you could listen to them or you don't listen to them.
Exactly.
In certain cases, I did. I was talking, for instance, in one case where I said that when Sue was first diagnosed back in 1992, I needed help, and I was seeking professional help to get me through this. And I kind of do an aside where I said that, you know, Freud would have had a wonderful time with me. And then in the same sentence, I say, I wonder if Mrs. Freud wore a Freudian slip. So they said, take that out. That's going to destroy the flow of the book. And I think they were right.
It is funny, though.
Well, thank you.
Now, you said that the book sort of poured out of you when you started to write it. Was that the case for the entire book? Were there some challenging aspects of it?
There were. I mean, I got to be honest, the stuff that I wrote first was the fun stuff. You know, that was easy, and that was incredibly wonderful to just relive all the great things we did. We had a boat party for our 25th wedding anniversary, where Sue and I actually sang in front of this captive audience that couldn't get off the boat. I actually asked the captain if before we left port, if he can just take the life preservers and all of that out of the ship so that no one would jump when we started singing. And it was really great. We actually sang a parody to "Do You Love Me" from.
From Dirty Dancing.
No. This was from Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we changed the words to fit us. One of the I won't turn this into a garage, but I'll just give you a quickie. A quickie thing that Sue sang. She said, "For 25 years I've watched you grow from side to side, not head to toe." So we had the people in stitches.
Aww.
But no, it was a great party, and this was already many years into the cancer. And Sue was a trooper that night because she was not one to get in front of a crowd. She never considered herself actually a role model, but you ask all of her friends and all the acquaintances, she was a role model.
So that was the easy stuff to write, you were saying.
Right.
And then I would assume the more difficult things were towards the end.
Yeah, well, the end definitely. That I honestly had to put aside writing that last chapter many times because truly I couldn't see the keyboard through the tears. It was that tough. Yeah, but it was also very cathartic, you know, and that's the one thing that people don't see if they don't do something like this.
Right.
You know, they see all the wonderful things that the book is doing for people and stuff, but they don't know what it did for me.
Right.
And it really helped me deal with Sue's loss.
A memoir is really, as you're saying, such a personal writing endeavor. What was it like? I mean, you have children, and I was wondering what their reaction was to the idea of the book and putting this out there.
Yeah, interesting. If I can just backtrack for a sec, being that Sue and I were two high school math teachers, yes, we did multiply twice in our lives. And not surprising, they were born on the same day 5 years apart.
Really?
Yes. Well, we did a lot of calculating, Sue and I.
I see that.
But Matthew, who is now 28 years old and is a full-blown mathematics professor at the University of Michigan, and Justin, who is 23 years old, and he just graduated Brown University.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, well, they have Sue's genes when it comes to the brains. I will tell you that. And by the way, with both of them, they're both into math. You know, we told them, Sue and I both told them many times to change your jeans, but they liked the ones they were wearing. So anyway, interesting though. Matthew wanted to know every minute as it was coming off of the computer, the chapters.
Wow.
Yeah, he couldn't get enough of it. Justin has yet to read it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I don't blame him in one bit. I mean, why would he want to relive this episode? The 5-year difference, I think, made a major difference in how they handled this.
In their ages.
Yes. You know, and also Matt was buffered by distance. He was at Princeton for a while. He studied at the University of Beijing. Then he got his PhD in Berkeley. So he didn't live day to day in the house as Justin did for the whole 13 years.
Right.
And also keep in mind that Justin was a high school senior when Sue died. So he missed a lot of stuff that, people should be doing with their parents. So yeah, when he's ready, he will read it. And he may never read it, but that's okay.
Now, how long did it take you to write the book when you were giving the chapters?
Well, the truth of the matter is, since it wasn't really a book.
It was a journal.
Yeah, it was a journal. I was just taking my time. And when I felt the urge to get into that, to Command Central, I would type.
Command Central.
Yeah. And yeah, it just flowed. And there were times like when, if you want to call it writer's block. I mean, again, I have trouble with writer's block because that would equivocate me with a writer. But yeah, and when those times happened, I just stopped and I did something else. I did other interests in my life. But the one interesting thing is, once I did take it to that medical professional, then I knew it was a book. Then suddenly the whole thing changed.
Right.
Yeah, because now every time I had a thought, my house had new wallpaper. It had Post-its all over the house. Because every time I had an idea, I'd walk around with a pencil and just write it down real quick.
Good for you. That's a great idea.
Well, it didn't do much for the cleaning lady who had to work her way around this. But yeah, and then I would just, cull the papers together and get it into Command Central. And when I was ready, I started writing again.
Now, did the book inspire the foundation, or was it
It's actually the other way
the
around.
other way around?
Yeah. I started this foundation, which is named after my wife, Susan, the Susan Satriano Foundation, 6 months after she died.
You did, okay.
Yeah. And the reason why I started the foundation is really twofold, or threefold, actually. I hope I can come up with 3 reasons now. We were both high school math teachers. We always helped kids in front of a room. I retired 4 years early to be with Sue because things had kind of hit the fan, and I didn't want to cheat the kids that I was teaching any longer because I was the, quote, fun math teacher. I know those words don't go together in the same sentence, but I wasn't teaching at that level anymore, and I didn't want to cheat them.
Right.
Plus, things had I needed to be with Sue. So my district was wonderful. They allowed me to retire 4 years early, which was great. So I was no longer helping kids in front of a room, but I still wanted to help kids. And then seeing personally what happened in our own home with our own 2 kids, seeing their mom's demise for 13 years, I wanted to target a specific group of kids. And these kids I call the silent sufferers. And the reason why is because as a high school teacher, kids who have parents that are dealing with cancer or unfortunately succumb to cancer, these kids don't tell you what's going on at home. All you get to see as the teacher are the grades dropping precipitously off of a cliff. So I target these kids. They have to meet 3 requirements to get the award, and there are no essays and no tests. Lord knows they have enough on their plate already going on at home. I'm not going to add to it. And I've never turned a kid down in the 6 years of the existence of the foundation. The 3 requirements are, they have to be a graduating senior. That's easy. Check. They have to be going to an accredited college in the fall. Easy. Check. The kicker is they have to have a parent who's either passed away of cancer and or presently battling. And I'm so proud to tell you this, and I can't believe I'm saying these numbers, because you're looking at the foundation, it's me and me alone. I've given out in 6 years $130,000 to 130 kids.
Wow.
And it's not just local either, by the way. I've helped 24 districts on the island, but I've also, believe it or not, sent checks out to Montana, to Texas, to Florida, to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York. Did you know there was a Peru, New York?
I actually did.
Did you? You can move on to the next round. But no, and the way it works is that the counselors find out about the foundation. I don't seek them out, they seek me.
Wow.
And once they do, we get the process rolling. Obviously, the schools that I can go to, I go to and I interview the kids. Now, truth be told, a lot of schools don't want the kids to know ahead of time because it's a surprise at the awards assembly. But I interview them merely not to select one against the other, because like I said, I've never turned a child down. I do that so that it gives them a chance to talk.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, once they find out that we are on the same level playing field, that I went through a loss and they went through either a loss or dealing with someone who's battling the cancer, they open up. And it's so good for them to do that. And I'm not saying that the counselors in the school don't do that, but there's something about just having that level playing field. And by the way, to every interview I bring tons of boxes of Kleenex, you know, because it's you know, we all start going crazy. But it's good. It's good to get the feelings out, to talk, to get just to let people know, and on their side to let them know that someone knows what they're going through.
Right. Now, you recently had an event, I understand, over the weekend.
Yeah, this was incredible. We ran something at Oceanside High School called the Walk of Lights.
Oh, I'm going to hold up one of your shirts. You brought some
yeah, thank you.
T-shirts.
Yeah, people got a T-shirt, foundation T-shirt. By the way, if you notice the logo over there, that's a double S kissing at the pink heart, which is for the Susan Satriano Foundation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. We sold pins, we sell T-shirts, but at the event, everyone purchased a luminary bag. Pink for someone who's passed away of cancer, gold for someone who is presently battling or in remission. And it came with a tea light candle, no flames, of course, because the superintendent wanted to use the venue for future events. So we didn't want anything happening. And the whole track was lined with these bags. And I had a little ribbon cutting ceremony, a pink ribbon, which I cut to not only officially start the walk, but also, as I said during the speech, to hopefully cut out cancer as well. And then we walked, and it was just, and by the way, it was very poignant, obviously, because each bag represented somebody. It had the name of the person that they were honoring. But it was also a lot of fun because we had music, we had food, we had vendors, we had face painting and balloon art for kids. It was just an incredible event. Now, it's still very raw because it just happened, but I think we're going to crack around $10,000 from that event.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
And there must have been at least 150 to 200 people there that night.
Oh, and you had a wonderful day, the weather.
It was incredible. We started it at 6:30 at night, and the weather gods, thank God, stayed with us. And it was just a wonderful evening. It really was. The one image I will remember, if I can just mention, there was a mother who handed a bag, a pink bag, which indicated that her husband had passed away, to her child, who must have been not even kindergarten age. And he put it down with such reverence next to the edge of the track. That was a tough one to see.
I know.
Yeah. But that's what this night was about.
Right.
It's exactly what it was, to honor somebody.
And to do good things.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I personally don't have $130,000. So I need help from people. And I guess the one thing I didn't mention about the book is that every cent of the book goes to the foundation as well.
Was the book available for purchase at the event?
It was.
Oh, wonderful.
And we sold over $200 worth of books that
Wonderful.
night. Yeah, oh, I'm telling you, people who were there, I think it will leave an indelible mark on their minds. It was just an incredibly poignant, beautiful night. A little brisk, but that's okay. You get the blood flowing by walking. And yeah, and so many volunteers. I mean, if I started naming all of them, I kind of joked and said, I just named a few, and I said, I put it on this pink piece of paper and I rolled it out. So the point being that if I named everybody, we would have never gotten to walk. That's how many wonderful people there are out there. And I'll tell you, if you ever want to meet great people, start a foundation. They come out of the woodwork. From the people who donated the sand to keep the bags upright, to the person at the pet store who gave me the scoops so I can put the sand in. People who cooked for us, and you know, just so that they can serve food to the. I mean, I can go on and on and on. People who manned the tables. It was unbelievable. It was just a magical evening, and I will remember that forever.
You know, I know you say that you're not a writer, but I do believe you're writing another book. Yes?
I actually am. I didn't learn
from... That's the makings of a writer.
Well, is that what it is?
The inspiration to keep writing, yes.
Well, yeah, I didn't learn from the first one, so So I'm going to write another one. Yes, actually, you'd like the title of the next one.
Okay.
This one takes you to Sue's last breath in sickness and in health.
Beautiful title, by the way. Beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. The reason why I chose the title is because our wedding vows meant so much to us. And I couldn't think of a better title, really, because that's what we said when we got married.
Right.
That's a whole other story, the marriage, I'll tell you about, because Sue is Jewish, I'm Catholic. And there was a lot of stuff going on there.
That's fun.
Yeah, oh, it was great. We used the differences in religion, which, by the way, religion doesn't really mean anything to us. If it did, I guess we would have never met. But we used it as a strength, a unity, not a difference, and not tearing us apart. And I think that also kind of shaped our whole relationship too. I know I'm sidetracking all over the place,
that's okay.
but
So you were saying the title of the second book is
correct. The title of the second book is, by the way, this one takes you to Sue's last breath.
Right.
And the next one will take you from that moment on. And being that Sue and I were both high school math teachers, the title has to be Aftermath.
That's wonderful.
Well, it just goes to show, Dina, that I have much too much time on my hands, is what it is.
So what does the second book cover? The foundation and those kinds of things?
It does. It's actually going to be poignant at the beginning because it talks about how my two boys, Matthew and Justin, and myself dealt with Sue's loss. The preparations for the funeral. We had never done anything like that before.
Right.
All kinds of things. A couple eulogies that were read by people who just loved Sue. So yeah, it'll cover some of that. It'll also talk about the mistakes that I might have made that I wish if I could have done over again. It'll talk about how I dealt with her loss by doing what I called my coffee tours. I invited myself to people's homes. I needed to talk. I didn't need their coffee. I needed to talk. And they opened up their homes to me. It was amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then another chapter later on, Sue had said to me on her deathbed, she died in our bedroom on our bed, the way she wanted it, which it was very hard for me to hear her say these things because she was basically telling me what her wishes were after. And, in an Italian family, you don't talk about death because you're bringing it on.
Very true.
Yeah. So but she needed to talk. And one thing that she did say, she said, Joe, after everyone's at the funeral, they'll be there for you, but then they got to go back to work. They've got their own families. You're going to be very lonely. 30 days after I die, I want you to have a party in my honor.
Really?
And we did. I listened to her every word. I called it Celebration for Susan. I had about 200 people in and out of the house. I catered it. It really uplifted me again. It was amazing. Anyway, yeah. Basically, I think that the second book is going to show people how I dealt with the loss.
Right.
But it's also going to be very funny because it also deals with the dating scene now at my very advanced age.
Oh.
So, yeah, it should be funny. I could tell you it's funny. Very funny. But, yeah, so it's going to be a book, I think, actually, to be honest, I think the second book is going to help people more than this one.
Really?
Yeah, I really feel that way because it's not often that you get a man, first of all, talking about his feelings.
That's true.
Yeah, well, I mean, in general, we tend to kind of hold everything in. Well, not this man, And so I'm going to let it all out as to the way I dealt with the loss. And I don't know of many other books. Again, I'm not a literary expert, but that talk about how people did deal with losses with a 13-year battle of breast cancer.
Right.
So, not that people should emulate what I did, because, like I said, I made some mistakes which I wish I could go back and redo. But I did a lot of good things too. And one of the things I'm going to mention in this book is also the beginning of the foundation,
Right.
which was really very cathartic. There's another chapter in there. I don't know how much time we have, but
We have a couple minutes.
okay, I'll just tell you real fast.
Sure.
I had to take a plane ride out to Berkeley to see Matthew get his PhD in mathematics.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm not a flyer. The last time I had flown out to California was with Sue back in 1977.
Wow.
Yes, And we hit turbulence over Cleveland. And I'm not a religious person, but I took that as a sign. And I was ready to die that day, but I didn't want to die over Cleveland.
Of all the places.
Yeah, right. But anyway, bottom line, what I did with this plane ride that I had to take,
Right.
I actually ended up, and I got the okay from a wonderful stewardess. That's what they call flight attendant. Excuse me. See, that shows how long it's been. She allowed me to walk up and down the middle aisle. I handed out 250 author cards.
Really?
Yes. And I figured this. Where are people going to go? It's a captive audience. At 37,000 feet, they're stuck.
That's great marketing.
It was, actually. And the bathroom can only save 2 people at a time on a plane. I ended up selling 8 books.
Really?
Honest to God. It was and it let the time go by. The 5 hours, like, no problem.
Right, right. That's wonderful.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm ruthless like that.
So when can we expect to see the second book out? When do you think you'll be done?
I'm about halfway through it, honestly. But again, you know, I know that the proceeds of that book are also going to go to the foundation.
Absolutely.
So it's not like I'm relying on it for income or anything. So I don't really give myself any timetable. I do it when I can.
Right.
And that's the beauty about in my situation. Even even though this was a book that people, I guess, wanted to read, apparently.
Right.
You know, I didn't feel pressure. I just kind of let it flow. And the same thing's going to happen with the other book. And it's been great to relive that part of my life, too.
Well, I hope you'll come back when the second book comes out and join us again. We'd love to have you back.
Thank you so much. This has been a joy.
Oh, Joe, thank you for coming.
Oh, this was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you soon.
I really appreciate that.
Thank
you giving
you.
me the chance to talk about my passion.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Writer's Dream. Thank you.